Launching up. 3, 2, 1. All right, here we go. Here we go. Matinee edition, post game live. Knicks drive the tank into London and lose in spectacular fashion, 101-100. We're gonna break it all down today. I'm here with a special guest, my man Jake Lenick from the Knicks podcast. Jake, how you feeling, bro?
Feeling good. Driving that tank bus straight through Europe.
We're
showing all those.
We driving to Europe, man. Driving to Europe.
We're driving. Yeah, we're just gonna sink right under the ocean. I think it's the Pacific Ocean. We go to Europe. I'm not gonna
Oh
no,
my
it's the Atlantic.
God, it's the Atlantic, man. It's the Atlantic, man.
Yeah,
all right, so let's just break this thing down here. I mean, the team was cruising. Completely cruising, clicking on all cylinders first three quarters. I mean, you would have thought the Wizards were tanking. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yep. I watched the at first because I was watching on those back channel memes because I had to multitask and it came up as the Wizards broadcast and the announcer was just like, he kind of brushed off the Knicks. It's like the 10-33 Knicks, like ha ha ha, and we come out the game gangbusters, man. Fourth quarter, we get stymied, and we lose on a goaltend, man. How do you explain losing on a goaltend, man?
I mean, you kind of had to expect, the collapse was coming. I mean, this is classic Knicks, where they start out hot. Europe, Fizdale probably gave, an incredible pregame speech to rally the troops a little bit. And then in the fourth quarter, you just saw that bad man, Bradley Beal, just start coming out and showing out and just hitting three after three. And you're like, all right, here we go. Let's get this tank on rolling. I'm okay with it. But, yeah, man, I've been watching basketball my life, 26 years old, and I have yet to see a game-losing
Never seen it.
Goaltend. Never seen it once.
Never seen it.
I've been watching basketball at all levels. Never seen a buzzer-beating game-losing goal. That is oddly specific and weirdly Knicks-ish.
Yeah, it was such a typical Knicks fourth quarter. I mean,
oh my God, the most.
I mean, three quarters, bro, clicking on all cylinders. Kornet going off, Dotson going off, Money Mitch coming in, disrespectfully rejecting everything in sight. 15-2 Wizards run in the fourth quarter. Sorry, 17-2. At one point, we had more turnovers than points. 7 turnovers to 2 points at one point. It went into a 7-minute drought. And then here they come again, cardiac Knicks, man. And you know what? It's so funny. It's me and you were talking about Moutier before. It's almost like Moutier is like, we have no go-to guy in the fourth. We have no clutch scoring in the fourth. It's kind of just like, take your pick, whoever we get lucky with if we actually win the game. But Moutier seems to be some sort of fourth quarter. He tries to pull out some clutch genes in the fourth, man, whatever you want to call it. But he tried to pump the brakes on the tank, man. It just wasn't meant to be, man.
I'll give it to Moutier. I mean, anybody that knows anything about me knows that I've been extremely critical of Moutier and Fizdale. Those are kind of the two guys that, moving forward, I'm a little bit skeptical about. But I will give Moutier credit in that sense that in the fourth quarter, he is definitely a guy that goes for it. There's no doubt about that. He likes to have the ball in his hands, and he was nowhere to be found for about 7 minutes there. But inside 4 minutes, when clutch time came, he was there, he wanted the ball, and he was the one making the shots, and him and Bradley Beal just kept on going back and forth with each other. But, yeah, man, it's games like this that really make me sick because when the Knicks are threatening to win and, it's not really the young guys that are doing it. Like, Moutier had a great game, but I don't really – I just – Moutier stinks to me. He stinks to high heavens. Just seems like a guy that we're going to give money to. If we give him a Doug McDermott 3-year, $22 million contract, I will lose it.
I wasn't a McBuckets fan to the slightest, man. I was not a McBuckets fan. Well, listen, I don't know what the future holds for Moutier. I'm 40-60 in terms of wanting him back next year on a cheap deal. But listen, today he had a decent game today. 11 for 17, I believe. 12 for 17. Tried to do it in the fourth. You know, Timmy had his usual
with two assists.
With two assists. Listen,
yeah,
I'm not.
You gotta put that little asterisk.
You gotta put everything together, right? But it was just a comedy of errors in that fourth quarter, man. Just everybody standing around, and I mean, listen, this is what a developing young team will do. We don't have our best player. We don't have our go-to guy. Bradley Beal fell asleep for most of the game, and he is their go-to guy, and he showed it down the stretch.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. And, like, these are games that when KP comes back, we're winning these games. Yeah. 7-minute droughts don't happen with KP on the floor. We don't have a star player right now. Everybody wants to say, like, Fizdale's the point guard whisperer. He gives Moutier that green light to do whatever he wants, and that's all good and dandy. But that 7-minute drought doesn't happen with KP on the floor. And then, you know, it's one of those things. Like, this is a great year to tank. Don't rush KP back because these games will get us a draft pick. This draft is top heavy, as we all know. And I had no problem with the way that we looked today. I mean, we got decent showings from guys that we can move forward with. I'm a big fan of Luke Cornett. Can we talk about Luke Cornett? He's a
big fan of Luke Cornett, man. He's been impressing me. That Philly game was the most I've been impressed with Luke Cornett because I felt like that was his biggest test going up against Embiid and those dudes. Yeah. And, you know, listen,
he didn't back down.
He didn't back down from the challenge. He did not back down from the challenge. He had his career high. I believe he had like 6 assists in that game. He came back, had 4 steals. He had 4 steals, I believe, in this game. 5 steals in this game, 1 block. 5 for 11 from the field, 4 for 6 from downtown. I mean, I think when you look at Luke Cornett, this is exactly what I had hoped that they would get out of him and being an undrafted steal last year in the draft.
This is absolutely the type of guy that good teams are formulating. You look at guys like Mitchell Robinson. You look at guys like Luke Cornett. You look at Alonzo Trier. You look at like teams like the San Antonio Spurs, and they have an uncanny way of nabbing these guys in like BS rounds that don't matter of the draft, and they turn them into decent players, and they have a good fit in the NBA. Like Mitch Robinson as a potential shot blocking machine, rebounder, pick and roll artist. Like he's got it all, athleticism, size. Luke Cornett. Imagine him backing up KP. Yeah. I mean, people like to say Mitchell Robinson and KP are going to make a fantastic duo. I'm more like I think KP should be the starting center when he comes back. And then, you know, eventually when, you know, all good things happen to Knicks fans and we get KD and then we have Kevin Knox and we could put them all in the lineup with like Frank or something. That's a matchup nightmare. And then you got Mitchell Robinson and Luke Cornett at the 4 and 5 coming off the bench. That's scary stuff, man. Like they could be some serious business in a year or two, man. I'm pretty excited about all these late draft picks, undrafted free agents that we got. They all look really nice. Yeah,
give credit, man. I mean, he's fit in. He's fit in real nicely, man. I would definitely advocate Luke Cornett coming back on the cheap if we can afford it. Right now, he's making $1.5 million. He's making pretty much the same as Vonleh. So it's going to be interesting, you know, when crunch time comes, who we can keep. If we can end up keeping both, we'll see. And we'll get into those Vonleh trade rumors later. But let's get into, first and foremost, let's shout out to the chat. Shout out everybody in the chat joining us on this early post-game tilt. You know what I mean? Shout out everybody in the chat. Keith Sinclair was here early. What's going on? Javid the God, Ralph Unreal, Alex Collins checking in from Ireland, as usual. What's going on, Alex? 4-0, what's going on? Quiet Money. Yeah, man, the usual's in here. Chester, Chetnik Nation, what's going on? All right, first call. My guy, as usual, Julian from Westchester wants to talk about Moutier. Julian, what's going on, man?
Oh, man, what's going on, fellas? What
do you have to say, Julian? Give us your thoughts on this uncanny loss today, man.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean that's a nice way to put it. Uncanny.
Uncanny.
Nah, but tonight, you know, first 3 quarters we actually looked like a like a borderline playoff team for like 3 quarters. We actually were playing our tails off, and I was seeing good things from everyone I wanted to see good things from, other than Frank.
Yeah, Frank had a Frank and Mario did not show out for their people, man. They did not show out. I feel bad for anybody that traveled. I feel bad for anybody that traveled to go see Frank and Mario, man, because they did not have a good game.
The Euros, you would have thought they'd be more comfortable.
The Euros did not show out for the people, man.
Yeah. Hey, man, I thought Frank actually played really good defense on Bradley Beal, but that was about it, and that was for like 2 possessions.
Yeah.
But anyways, overall, I'd say. And Kevin Knox had a bad night too. But
it wasn't his best.
Wasn't his night, but hey, tonight I have to say there's an overwhelming amount of positives to take away from a loss like tonight.
Agreed. What's yours?
Luke Cornett. You look at Luke Cornett. He's a taller Ryan Anderson with acceptable defense.
It's a fair comparison.
He's got some level of lateral quickness to the point where like you don't have to hide him on defense. And when you switch him out onto perimeter guys, he's actually not that bad at coming off the switches and defending on the perimeter. So you got to look at that and see that as a positive. Mitchell Robinson comes back tonight and sends. I forget who it was. He sent that shot into like the River Thames, bro. That was crazy.
Mitch picking up where he left off, man. Mitch picking up right where he left off. It's good to see him out there, man.
He'll get his blocks when he's in the game, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Facts.
Yeah. If you look at it, the guy could average 5 blocks a game when he's in his prime. Like, no joke. He really could.
That's a stretch, but I like where your head's at.
He's coming from Mark Eaton's record. Wow, mark my words. But tonight, Noah Vonleh, excellent performance. But the thing I really wanted to get into was Emmanuel Mudiay and how overrated our fan base has portrayed him to be.
Okay, all right, Julie, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Let me read his stats from tonight. He played a good game. 25 points, 7 boards, 2 assists, right? 11 of 18 from the field, right?
Yeah.
And he didn't shoot. He was perfect from the free throw line. But you know what he had? He had 5 turnovers and the lowest plus-minus on the team. You cannot have that from a starting point guard moving forward. You just can't. That's not acceptable. Unless your starting point guard is like James Harden or John Wall, that's not going to cut it. So that's what I'm saying. Mudiay, he's great for right now because he's helping us lose games, but bring it like down the line. There's no reason why we should bring him back. There's nobody can convince me that Emmanuel Mudiay is our starting point guard of the future and can bring us a championship as the starting point guard. Nobody.
Jake, I think you would agree with that, man. What do you think about that, man?
See the way I view Mudiay, and I think you're spot on. I feel like a lot of Knicks fans, like. God bless Knicks fans, man. They're very optimistic, and I appreciate that. And like I used to be that way. I mean, this team has turned me into such a pessimist over the past couple of years, and I shouldn't say past couple. It's been 20 years, and I want to believe Mudiay is good. I really do, but it's kind of like Fizdale and Mike D'Antoni have this way of giving the keys to a ball-dominant guard and letting them rack up the stat line. And I think that people get lost in the stats more so than looking at the effect of the game. Like, yeah, Mudiay came up clutch in the fourth quarter. He treaded water for the rest of the game. But he, as a point guard, it's cool if you get buckets. Like, Damian Lillard gets buckets. Steph Curry gets buckets, and I'm all for that. But they also have a way of getting everybody involved, in which Mudiay doesn't. And it's classic. Like Fizdale and Mike D'Antoni have a lot of similarities in that sense, where I think the stat lines get increased, and comparing Mudiay to James Harden in this sense is such a gigantic leap and stretch because James Harden's an incredible basketball player. Mm-hmm. But there's a reason why these guys don't win games. It's because like they don't get enough people involved on the court. There's not much of an offensive system as much as it's just like a free for all. And you look at teams like Golden State and the Spurs, and like they look like everything is so solid and everything is in sequence, and they all know what each other's doing, and like they know what's happening 3 times before the ball gets moved. Like they it's like they have some psychological tract with each other.
Yeah.
That's not what the Knicks have necessarily, and I think that it'll come with time. But I think Fizdale needs to do a better job at implementing an offensive system as opposed to just letting them run rampant. It works because they're professional basketball players, and when they're on, you'll see it like the first 3 quarters. It'll be beautiful.
Well, they simplified, and Julian, appreciate the call, Julian. They simplified the offense. You know, Fizz has always said that, both the offense and the defense. You know, he wants to keep things simple. He feels as though these guys struggle with some of the concepts, being that they're a young team, you know, inexperienced, so on and so forth. So we expect that. You know, listen, I don't disagree with you guys. I don't disagree with you guys on Moutier. He definitely has his flaws. I think also another flaw is he's inconsistent. I think sometimes you see some good things. I think being in attack mode is certainly something that we've missed from the Knick guards for a while now, and at times he gives us that. He gives Fizz what he wants, but you know, a lot of other times his distribution still, you know, leaves a lot to be desired, and he's got to limit the turnovers. One person who always has clutch turnovers is Timmy, though, man. Timmy struggled today on both ends, and you know, Timmy again with those fourth quarter turnovers, man. It hurt us. That definitely hurt us, man.
Yeah, Timmy is. I want to say good things about Timmy. He's a bucket guy, but he's a. For his contract, it doesn't pay off. I mean, like, yeah. I was talking to you during the game, and we were talking about how good Bradley Beal is. Like, he's an incredible player. He gets overlooked. He's had his injury issues, sure, but the guy's a bad dude. He is a bucket getter, and he gets involved on every facet of the game. Gets paid a little bit more than Timmy, but at the same time, it's a fair comparison because they're in a similar price range, and people don't really look at them the same way, but if you look at them, they're like the same age, and it kind of catches me along with a lot of people off guard. Because Bradley Beal is a pretty elite perimeter defender on top of an elite 3-point shooter, along with a good passer, along with a good rebounder. Like, he can do it all. Tim Hardaway, streaky shooter. He can shoot that 3 ball, but if he's not, he's going like 2 for 17 with 6 points, and he's going to cost the Knicks some serious games.
It's going to hurt you.
So.
Man.
Yeah, and like defensively, he's nothing to write home about. And it's nothing against Tim Hardaway Jr. I happen to like him. I like his game. He's fun to watch. But like in total, you know, 4 years, $72 million. It was $4 million. It would be awesome.
Tough, man.
But
all right, let's go to the phones. Ari from Manhattan. He wants to talk about the good L in Fizdale's rotations. Ari, how you feeling, bro?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you for having me on. I'm feeling absolutely fantastic. I was watching the game, fourth quarter, up by 12, take a shower, come back, down by 1. I was so happy. It was the best comeback
Light it up.
In my life. Let's go. I'm feeling good. Getting a little beer right now. I'm feeling good. But so basically, you guys took a lot of my talking points. Tim Hardaway Jr. with the clutch turnovers. He was definitely our MVP today.
2 clutch turnovers by Timmy in the fourth. Fizdale was dropping F-bombs by the 6-minute mark. He was tight. And Fizdale said he's the ultimate cheerleader. You know that. So you know he was tight, man. He's dropping F-bombs out there.
Oh, Fizdale. That gets to my next point. Fizdale, I'm an attorney. So in order to convict someone, you got to be beyond a reasonable doubt. It is clearly evident at this point that he is purposely trying to tank the season because during the last play of the game, he kept ISO Zoe and Tim Hardaway Jr. out for the defensive play.
I was looking for Dotson. For Dotson, Jake. What do you think? What you think about that last possession? I was curious why they didn't have Dotson out there for that last play, man.
Everybody knows Dotson's my guy. I mean, I used to work in Westchester in White Plains, New York, and he used to come around my spot all the time. I posted a picture of him on our Instagram at @the_Lennox. Dotson's been my guy for a long time, ever since he was making his rounds with the Westchester Knicks. I don't know why they didn't have him on the floor. This is part of the reason that confuses me about Fizdale. And if Ari is right and he's purposefully tanking, then kudos to him, because that's a brilliant. But you want your three shooters out there. Like, if you're actually trying to win ball games, you want your three shooters out there. You want to stretch the floor. You want Knox. You want Dotson. You want Trier. You want all these guys. Sure, you want Cornette. And Tim Hardaway. There's your lineup. That's 5 guys right there. That's your lineup. And I'm not an NBA coach. Maybe I should be. I'm not down to get paid $5 million a year. That'd be tight. But yes, I totally agree with Ari. You should have Dotson out there. He's a 3-and-D guy. I mean, that's who you need.
And he had a good game. He's been struggling a little bit down the stretch, but he had a good game, man. What else, Ari? What else you got?
Yeah, it wasn't. But the thing is, it wasn't even within the natural flow of the game. It was out of a timeout.
Yeah.
Fizdale the entire season is doing offense, defense. Like, if you have Frank, the only thing the guy is good at in basketball is defense. Like, and he's been putting him in for those, like, offense, defensive purposes, and he kept both of them out for literally our 2 probably worst perimeter defenders. So I think he deserves the MVP of the night, Fizdale.
Yeah, you would have expected Frank and Dotson on those adjustments, man.
Yeah, 3 seconds left in the game. You're not going to get an offensive possession. You know the ball's going to Bradley Beal. Like, I don't understand why Fizdale puts Tim Hardaway Jr. on the best player when he's the worst defender, but it's clear that he has to be. Like, you cannot be that incompetent and be an NBA coach. Like, he's doing it for a reason. I really honestly think at this point, beyond a reasonable doubt, he's tanking. But, besides that...
Go ahead, Jake. Go ahead. Hold on, Ari. Go ahead, Jake.
Nah, I'm just agreeing with him. I'm not necessarily agreeing with him. I don't think anybody in the NBA, because, like, at the end of the day, you're playing, you're coaching for your job, and that's kind of how the NBA goes in the classical sense. But I will say this: if Ari is right, and beyond a reasonable doubt, to use your law lingo and jargon, I can't see anything that would contrast that argument. Like, what Fizdale does, his rotations are confusing. He takes people out when they're too hot. He does these late game lineups. He doesn't draw up good game plays. And to me, I was skeptical of the Fizdale hiring from the start. So I just think he's a pretty bad coach. I just think it comes down to him being a bad coach. But if he's doing this,
we got to get to that too, Jake. We got to get to that too, man. And appreciate the call, Ari. We got a lot of calls, so I just want to run through them so that everybody can chime in. Appreciate you, Ari. You know what? Listen, I'm not the coach, but in my opinion, if this is a teaching year, if this is a development year, if this is about the young guys, in a situation like that, you're coming off a timeout. I would have expected your 2 better perimeter defenders to be out there. And apparently Hardaway and Vonleh got caught in some miscommunication, ended up doubling Beal. Johnny O'Brien got left open. And I think regardless of the goaltend, that shot looked like it was going in anyway, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, in those late game situations, I mean, you can take whoever you want out there. And, like, if this is a development season, we are a young team. Priority A, B, and C, D, E, F, G, go through the whole alphabet. It should be developing these players. Yeah. And what the benefit is in such a horrible season is that you can still have close games like this in a pretty big environment. You know, you're in England, you're on the spotlight, you got the matinee, you got a lot of eyes on you and everything. I love saying matinee, by the way. It makes you feel like Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
I don't know why. But yeah, you got the matinee, you're the only basketball game going. All the bored people who's not working like myself at home were watching. So, but yeah, like I think that you should be playing the players that you plan on moving forward with. And like, it just seemed like a perfect moment for like a guy like Dotson to step up or Frank step up. And like, I love Vonleh. I love Thomas Bryant. I went to Indiana University, so those are my guys. I used to call basketball games for those guys. I used to go out with those guys. I'm tight with them. Mm-hmm. But Vonleh is a guy who I look at kind of like what Michael Beasley was last year. He's a guy who wanted to join a team where he hasn't really come up in his in his upbringing from the draft, and he wanted some spotlight. He wanted some playing time to show the NBA teams that he can ball and like it's his time. And he has been great. He has been showing like athleticism. He's been showing a little bit of range. He's been showing a versatile skill set. But if I'm being completely honest with myself, he's going to get paid around $8 to $10 million next year. I'm not really willing for the Knicks to do that. So in my heart of hearts, I don't think he's going to be a Knick next year. So why not put a guy like Kornet or like Dotson and put the ball in their hands, see what they could do, see what you got with them.
That's true.
Like, that's the questions I got.
I hear that. All right, let's go to Isaiah from Connecticut. He wants to talk about Moody and the rotations. Isaiah, how you feeling, bro?
Hey, what's going on, Knicks fan? What's poppin', man?
Good, man. How you feeling about this game, bro?
Oh, man. You know, the only thing that makes me feel better is when we watch Duke games.
Yeah.
I just look at Zion and I just be like...
Watch the Duke 3,
you know,
right?
He would look really great in orange and blue. Yeah, watching the Duke 3 makes this whole season a lot better, man, and a whole lot of vodka. But no, man, you know, I'm listening to the talkers, man, and they're taking all my points, man. They're taking all the points I wanted to say.
We had to get you in here earlier, man.
I know, man. You gotta put me on the rotation, man. Because you need another big black guy on there too. You know, the guy with the dreads.
Yeah, the guy with the dreads. JL's is working today, man.
Yeah, that's all right, man. No, but you know what I'm saying. So, you know, one thing that can, like the guy said, the one thing that's confusing me with Fizz, man, is this is like the third or fourth time Tim has been taxed to guard the best player for the final possession.
Yeah,
he hasn't did it. So I'm getting confused why, you know, you don't put Dot, you don't put Frankie, you don't put Mitch in there. You know, those three need it because regardless of people like Frank or not, but if you like, he's part of the future. He's on here for his rookie contract. So he's part of the future. So you got to develop him. You got to put him in those situations. And it's like, I knew this lineup wasn't going to work when you literally have Zoe, you have Moutier, you have Knox, and you have Tim. I mean,
yeah.
For a guy
I didn't get it, man.
Quote unquote
I didn't get it.
And you know, and I try to like Fizz, and I do. I'm trying to give him every excuse in the book, but it's like you for the last 2 years with our coaches, which has been confusing me. They talk about defense, but then leave our defensive players on the bench. Mm-hmm. You know, like I remember last year with Jeff Hornacek. I remember Jeff. Jeff would literally say we need to play better defense, but would leave Frank on the bench. When he was clearly our best defender.
And rock with Jared Jack.
Everybody knew it.
Let's get Jared Jack
and rock with Jared Jack. And God bless Jared Jack.
Rotate them out, all these guys.
You know, God bless Jared Jack, so rest in peace. But, you know,
yeah, he's stupid, bro.
God bless Jared Jack, so, man, rest in peace. But it's like, dude, I hate these coaches that keep talking about we're supposed to play defense, and then you have all these guys, and God bless Knox. Knox right now is just not a good defender. We know what Tim brings. We know what, you know, Zoe tries, but he's just not a good defender. I just don't understand what he's trying to do, you know, and it's like, you got to give these guys minutes because here's my thing. I'm not comfortable paying Moutier $7 million to start. No. I'm just not. I'm just not a big fan of. I'm just really not a big fan of Moutier because at the end of the day, right now I don't think he makes people around him better. He doesn't play defense, and then he plays a little selfish ball right now that he doesn't move they don't move the ball. I'd rather give those minutes to Frank and let Frank. Listen, man, this second half of the season, here's my thing. Give Frank 30 minutes. Let him fail. Let him whatever. Let him do whatever he wants. And just give him the opportunity. Give him the minutes. Give Doc the minutes. Let Tim heal his foot because it's like he's just been bad. Man.
He's dragging
it.
He's dragging it, man. I hear you. I hear you, man.
It's like I don't. I mean, I get a little frustrated with it. It's like, Fizz, we as New York fans, we can't be the only ones seeing this. True. We can't be the only ones seeing it, and that's why I think the guy was saying it doesn't make sense because we can't
tank commander,
have this much common sense.
He's the tank commander, bro.
I'm not gonna lie. Hey, yo, listen, man. KnicksFanTV, listen. I'm not gonna lie to you. If we get Zion, this whole season's forgiven. It's forgiven.
Oh, of course.
If we get one of the Duke boys, we get one of the Duke boys, I say it's a missing accomplice.
R.J. Barrett.
But it's like, this.
Yeah. All right, man.
You know what scares me about R.J. Barrett?
Yeah. Go ahead, Isaiah. One
thing
point,
that scares me about R.J.
Go ahead.
Yeah. One thing that scares me about R.J., he reminds me of Tim Hardaway.
I saw a lot of people would say that.
That's the scary part about R.J.
A lot of people would say that.
He reminds me of Tim Hardaway, but you know what, man? Shout out to you guys, man. I'm going to be at the game Monday for Martin Luther King Day.
Okay.
You gonna be there, Nick?
Nah, I got tickets to the Mavs game, man. I'm trying to see Luka, man. I gotta see what the hype is all about, man.
That dude.
I gotta go see that. I gotta go see that guy, man. He
makes me want to be white. I'm not gonna lie to you. If I could turn into a white man.
On that note, Isaiah, I gotta clip your mic, man. Appreciate the call, my dude. Isaiah always comes with jokes, man. No, appreciate it. Luka's beasting though, man.
Lucas, I listen. Anybody that listens to my podcast knows that about 6 months prior to the draft, we inserted a segment called Luka Watch, where we kept Knicks fans up to date on what Luka was doing across the pond and how incredible this man is. The guy is better than great. He's a prodigious talent. He has accomplished more than anybody has ever did prior to coming into the NBA. That includes LeBron James. Not saying he's better than LeBron James. What I said about Luka Doncic leading up to the draft was that he is something like LeBron James, his guard skills as a forward with a better shot and a little bit less athleticism. But the guy is crafty, man. He's crafty.
He's a beast. I mean, to see him dominate the ACB like that,
as an
18-year-old, and that's highly regarded as the second best league next to the NBA. Absolutely.
He led Slovenia to a Eurobasket title over teams like Latvia, Spain, like all these powerhouses, pretty much on his back. He won EuroLeague MVP in the regular season, led his team to a championship and won the championship and won championship MVP. So the guy is special. True. He is absolutely special.
True indeed, man. All right, back to the phones. We got a lot of calls in the queue. Jake, we got Kevin, we got Dane, we got Rick. Rock, Q wants to get in, Jamal wants to get in. All right, so we're going to keep it rolling. Everybody keep it to like 1 or 2 points. I want to make sure I get everybody in here. Kevin from North Carolina here up. He wants to talk about Knox and Fizdale. Kevin, what's going on, man?
What's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, good. Everyone pretty much touched on my point today, so I'm going to try to make it quick. My issue really is with Fizdale is that I feel like he knows what's up. Like, because my thing is, you were an assistant coach on 2 back-to-back championships with LeBron in them.
Yeah.
So you know what good basketball looks like. You got to look around at your team and say, my fault. Yeah, I'm just like, you got to look around and be like, this is not good basketball. I'm watching this game, and I'm like, why are you doing some of the things you're doing? And someone had made the point earlier, I heard, it's basically a free fall. There's no offense out there. It might be a screen or two, and that's it.
Yeah. And
the thing I have a problem with is everyone has free reign to ISO except for Knox and Frank. Because when they do something stupid, I feel like they get pulled. Like, he has no place for Knox, none.
Yeah, they don't run plays for Knox. But in fairness, listen, in 3 quarters, the offense is moving well. I didn't have no problem with it. It just happens that when these teams tighten up and lock up on D, we get stagnant. Obviously, the lack of a go-to scorer. Everybody's standing around waiting to do something, and that's how you have Emmanuel Mudiay as your guy. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it works out because everybody's just standing around waiting for somebody else to do something.
Yeah, that's true. I remember you talked about it on one of your other videos. Like, to be in New York and coach, you really got to be meant for it. Like, I went to my first Knicks game ever, like last week, the Indiana Pacers. I'm with my dad. It was awesome.
Okay,
but I'm at MSG, and the Knicks fans in person, man, they're over there, they're cussing, they're yelling.
Oh, yeah, they'll let you have it. Absolutely.
They think they'll put the Lance Thomas.
Hell yeah.
Fizdale puts in Lance Thomas, and then this dude yells out behind me, "Yes, Fizdale, let's develop Lance Thomas." That's what we're trying to do. Like, you must hear that 24/7. Like, I know he knows what's up, man. That's my biggest issue. Like, But then again, someone said earlier he might be purposely tanking, and that
He might be the commander.
Anyway,
man.
that's all I wanted to say, man.
All right, Kev, appreciate the call, man. He might be the tank commander, man.
He is the tank commander. I'm all for it, though.
We're gonna
it's a good season to have a bad coach.
Of course. Of course, man. Of course. All right, yeah, we're gonna get to Rick. Shout out everybody in the chat. G. Andrezzi, Jimmy, what's going on? Ralph on Real. If you're new in the chat, give me a hashtag new so we can shout you guys out. Hit that thumbs up button for your boys. That's the best way to support the show. Hit that thumbs up.
One note, CP,
yeah,
real quick. I've been seeing a lot of chatter in the comment section. This man really has a podcast called The Lennox Podcast. A lot of people think it's like a French-based podcast. Obviously, you hear me speak. That's not the case. I just need to explain that it's me and my brother. Our last name is Lennox, not spelled like that, and it's clever, okay?
No pun intended. This is real deal official, man.
I mean, I get a lot of questions on that. I just thought I needed to explain myself before people think it's like, a bunch of French people talking about the Knicks.
Yo, to be honest with you, that's what I originally thought. That's what I originally thought, man.
The more of a platform I could get that out there, I appreciate every second.
I really thought you guys were related to the Knicks France group. You know that Knicks France group that's big on social media.
Yeah, I love the Knicks France group. Every time I post a Frank picture on our Instagram or Twitter, I get mad likes.
I thought you guys were affiliated.
Mad love from the Frenchies, man.
Factuals. All right, let's go to Rick in Charlotte. He wants to defend Moutier from the Moutier haters. Rick. Let him have it, man. Let him have it, bro. What do you have to say for yourself?
It's just comical that the games that people pick to Moutier gives you plenty of opportunity to hate on him. But after this game, that's the game that everyone wants to call in or talk in the chat about. It's are we a good team? Did I miss something?
Absolutely not.
I got a question for both of y'all. Prior to the season, how many wins did you guys think that we were in contention for the number one pick prior to the season?
I'm honestly surprised we got the double digits.
I thought we were gonna. What was ESPN's ranking about 29, 30? I thought we was gonna hit about 25.
I think we were at like 26.5 in Vegas or something like that.
Yeah, I was taking an under. There was no way.
Too. All day under.
Hell yeah.
But yet, I listen to these calls. I read these chats. I'm on Twitter, and dudes act like Moutier is the reason why we're in this situation. We stink, y'all boys. We're not a good team, man. And the reason what's happening is that Moutier has the one skill that a lot of the guys especially on the starting lineup, does not have.
True.
The ability to get his own shot.
Absolutely.
And so what happens is when the offense gets stagnant because we really have no system. And that's why all the point guards' assist rates are down. Burke's assist rate is completely, tanked compared to what it was last year.
Well,
because you don't really have a system for. It's essentially give it to Moutier and Tim Hardaway once the clock gets to about 7 or 8. The difference is Moutier can get to the paint and probably get some sort of quality shot off where Tim's just going to launch up some 35-foot three. So, but. All these kids, Moutier's just the one kid that's not allowed it. Like, he's treated like a vet. Like, he's not allowed the same. He has.
That's fair. That's a fair point. I will say that we do.
He's 22 years old.
Analyze Moutier differently than the others.
Yeah.
He's younger than Trier. He's younger than Cornette. He's younger than Dotson.
Yeah. But in fairness, though, Rick, in fairness, none of those guys have the expectations that Moutier came in having, though. In fairness, Moutier was a lottery pick.
Oh no. Okay, let me kill that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Moutier was picked 7th in the draft.
That's lottery.
That's lottery.
Frank was picked 8th in the draft.
Yeah. Yes, Frank. I'll give you Frank. But when you were mentioning Dotson,
everybody judges Moutier off of high school mixtapes, and what they don't realize is, and in the fact that his comps coming out of high school now, he was a second-rated high school player. His comps were Wall, and Rose, those big-time point guards.
Right.
Those two guys went first overall in the draft.
Yeah.
A year from high school, when the real draft happened, and the scouts got in the scouts, and he practiced and worked out. He didn't go number 1 overall in the draft.
he went 7th. You know, just like a guy like Jamal Murray, just like a spot before Frank. So this whole notion, like, oh, the expectations that he's full, that's y'all fault for watching YouTube and thinking you know basketball.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. The Knicks were looking at him. The Knicks were looking at him.
Well, not saying y'all, not you, because you're fair. You're fair. But I'm just talking about the other dudes that just got all this hate in them over this kid. You know, that's y'all fault. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So he's a kid just like the rest of them trying to develop. You know what I'm saying? And then Frank, and we overrate Frank's defense. Did y'all see what Troy Brown did to Frank? First of all, he got
when he dunked on him. Yeah, he got dunked on. He got dunked on.
He got yammed on. This is our defensive section that everybody's crying about. Needs to be on the floor.
He did, but I still want him out there in the crunch time instead of Moody. Though, in all fairness,
150 years old with a bag lead blew by.
In all fair, Rick, I hear you, man. JC busted his ass too. I'll give you all of that. I still want him out there in crunch time over Moody and Timmy. Would you agree that at least to say that Moodie's defense is suspect?
I feel like the two. No. That ain't gonna fly either.
What do you mean?
Yo, that ain't gonna fly either. Yo, we played Dame and we played Curry on back-to-back nights.
Yes.
Dame went 4 for 15. Curry went 4 for 19.
That was an aberration.
The two guard is what killed us.
That was aberration.
It's always that, but that's the beauty. That's the beauty of that's the Moody effect. When those players have bad games. When those players at the end of the day, when prior to every game, I hear Moody is going to get lit up because this guard is so nice. But at the end of the game, the point guard never goes off, and usually Moody is around the same, goes up around the same or keeps it respectable. And what happened? I hear that, Dame was disinterested, quote unquote. Curry was not really thinking. He went 4 for. He took 19 shots, but yet he was disinterested. Yeah. Y'all stop, man. Okay.
All right, Rick, man. All right, man.
I'll give that. I'll give Frank. But that, again, at the end of the day, all I want to say that he's 22 years old. He's a kid, just like the rest of them, developing. And let's treat them all the same as long as they're wearing the Knicks jersey.
All right.
Let's treat them all the same.
Okay.
Once he gets traded, we can talk differently.
All right. Appreciate the call, Rick. That was Rick, the president of the Emmanuel Mudiay fan club, weighing in to destroy the haters, man.
He's just swimming through the mud right there.
Oh no! This is the Rick was on his B game tonight. You should have heard Rick. I forgot which night, man.
I love the rant. I mean, I'm all about that, man.
It was,
you know me.
It was the New Year's Day game. The New Year's Day game, and Rick came in. He was like, "Man, I'm tight. I got work tomorrow. You dudes are hating on Moody." Rick was tight, man.
I love the rant. Honestly, he almost had me switching my opinion on Moody. I didn't, but what I will say to counteract this whole notion that Moody is a good two-way player, he's not, is the fact that when I watch the Knicks this year, it's a lot like scouting. It's more scouting than watching actual basketball because this team stinks. I mean, it's going nowhere. It's going to hell in a handbasket, but I compare it a lot to like when I used to watch the G League Knicks, the Westchester Knicks. I grew up right down the street. I used to go to games. Dotson, Cornette, Jimmer Fredette, all these guys. Mm-hmm. The guys getting buckets were guys like Jimmer Fredette and all that. But the guys that get moved into the NBA aren't the guys that are like the superstars. And I get that Moutier is scoring at a level in the NBA, but like if he's losing at the same time. He's not going to be getting the same looks if we get actual NBA players and add them to this roster. He's the most scorer on this team, and Fizdale is letting him do pretty much whatever he wants. But the guys that you move up that can make some noise in the NBA have skill sets that are beyond scoring. It's guys that can rebound. It's guys that block shots. Shit, it's even guys like Ron Baker that hustle their ass off. I mean, everybody knows I hated Ron Baker, but those are the guys that make their way into the NBA. I mean, you look at a guy like Cornette. He's tall. That's an NBA skill, and he can shoot threes. You'll get guys like Dotson, good size, 3-and-D player. Look at Frank, long, lanky, can play defense. He can make his way onto an NBA roster. I mean, there's guys that are like on this team that are very well adjusted to NBA rosters. Just may not necessarily come together because they may not be the star players like a guy like. I mean, every good team has a star player, more or less. I mean, like down to San Antonio, which everybody likes to say is the ultimate team. But they still got LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan to take off some guys on the end of the bench that come up clutch for them all the time. Like, it just happens like that. So I'm looking for guys that can make their way and like contribute in a major way to a team that is more adjusted to like an NBA roster. I just don't think Moutier is that guy because he's not a good distributor. He's not a good defender as much as your boy liked to say he was. I'm sorry. I've watched too much of him to say he's a good defender. He was a guy that was extremely poorly scouted because he went abroad as opposed to going to the NCAA. So he was right in the fact that we were scouting high school tapes.
Yeah,
and
that's true. That's true. And the China tapes, the China tapes, which made him look even better.
China's tough. Yeah, like China is like a tough place to scout from historically.
Yeah.
But he was he was getting comparisons to John Wall. I mean, it's clear to see that this guy's not John Wall. He doesn't have an eighth of the athleticism that John Wall does. He's not the distributor that John Wall is. He doesn't rack up steals like John Wall does. In his best, he's not even a poor man's John Wall. It's an insane John Wall.
All right, let's get back to the phone. Dave from Brooklyn wants to talk about getting rid of Timmy. Dave, what's going on, man? What's your gripe with Timmy, man?
Yeah.
How you feeling, bro?
What's going on?
What up?
I'm good. First time caller. Real quick. Your man was talking about Luka Doncic and said that he's as skilled as LeBron, but slightly less athletic. Slightly.
Yeah. Jake, that's going to you, man.
Yeah. No. Okay. That may be a little bit of an overstatement, but I'm saying that people thought that Luka's athleticism was going to affect him at the NBA level, which it clearly has not. My point is that he makes up for his athleticism with crafty play, as opposed to LeBron, who just
step back is mean.
The step back, but like also if you watch him, he's so crafty with the ball. He's always showing the ball here, putting it there, and these little hesitations, and the shot is always in place, so he always catches his defender off guard, which makes up for the athletic difference that LeBron does, because LeBron doesn't have that jump shot, but he's always been able to get to the rim whenever he wants, and he's ambidextrous, so he can finish at the rim whenever he wants. But Luka, going forward, he'll never be as athletic as LeBron is. That's a fact. But he'll be able to get to the rim. He'll be able to do things that LeBron was never able to do. And I'm excited to watch his career progress going forward.
What you got, Dame?
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Just a slightly less athletic. Are we drinking the same thing right now?
Yeah, no. I mean, nowhere near LeBron, but I get Jake's point. He's a very crafty player, man.
You're good. I just wanted to point that out real quick.
Okay. What else you got on your Timmy topic?
In terms of Tim Hardaway, I appreciated him so much tonight. I got off of work. I was stressed out, so we were up by like 15, 17 or something like that. And my man came through. He's number 3 candidate for the Tank MVP. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate him.
MVP,
coming through
Tim
in the
Hardaway
tonight.
Jr. The Tank MVP.
Oh,
man.
absolutely.
Tank MVP. You got to appreciate
the first time I was but on a more serious note, though, touching on Dave Fizdale, I know, he hasn't been the best in rotation. Everything, he might give him some trouble, but keep it a buck, right? If you knew you got a job where you knew your first year was a write-off, nobody's going to judge you for it.
Not New York though. Not New York. We don't want to judge him on it, but it just doesn't happen here. Even though I feel like he's playing with house money for sure, but there's still certain things, man, that you want to see.
As much as he can, he's playing with house money. I mean, there's no playing with house money in New York because in the offseason when we hired him, everybody was just like, oh, it's going to be an off year. It didn't catch anybody off guard before the year, but I would say like 80% of Knicks fans, not me, I hated the hiring. I really did. If you look at his resume, it's nothing. I'm sure we'll get to this more.
Yeah.
But I did not like the hiring, but I would say 80% of Knicks fans were all pro Fizdale. He's young. He's a player.
I still am. I'm still pro Fizdale.
That's fair. I'm not going to knock you for being a Fizdale guy. But the fact is now, and everybody thought this was going to be a bad year, but I would say like his approval rating is down to like 30, 35%.
That's because we can't take the loser, man. Dave, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Can I get my point off real quick? I'm going to shoot my man some bail because people throw him on the bus.
Yeah.
Listen, you had a year off. You know what talent you had coming in. So everybody say, "Oh, he's bad." This, that, the third. The team is bad. So you know what talent he's juggling right now, right?
Yes.
But if you know you got a kid that could change your career coming in, wouldn't you work towards that kid? Wouldn't you, when you start making sure you know what the commodities you had now, what I'm gonna keep, what I'm not gonna keep? I'm sure you know the temperature on KD already.
Yes, but at the same time, you also want to be confident that when they do put that proper team together, that he's gonna put them in the best positions to win. You know what I'm saying? Or even try to. Even with the lack of talent that we have, sometimes his decision making is head scratching. You know, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes his decision making is head scratching in terms of his adjustments in game. Yeah, I'm giving him house money. It's a tank year. I'm with the tank. Get to the bottom. You know what I'm saying?
He's not going to get fired this year. There's no way that happens. But what I look for in Fizdale, the stuff that he can do to impress me, is a late possession, drawing up a play, playing the young guys, putting the young guys in situations that they can help themselves with, help their careers with. And that's something that he doesn't do that well. It's something that I've been underwhelmed with as a whole. And that's my main knock on Fizdale. Listen, when he was hired as a coach, I didn't agree with the hiring, but I'm not one of these guys that's going to blindly hate the guy. I'm rooting for the guy. He's the Knicks head coach. I hope he leads us to 5 championships. I hope he's the next Phil Jackson. But what I'm seeing out of him is a mediocre to pretty bad head coach in total.
What you got, Dame? Last point, Dame.
I guess the last point I would get is if he had put in Frank, Mitch, Doctor tonight and won the game, would that have been the best win for their career? Moving forward?
Would that have been the best win of his career?
Would that be the best help for their win moving forward and winning more games to continue to not get people to come?
No, not at all. I'm not disappointed in the loss, but like I said, I just want to be confident that he will put us in the right position to win. And to me, in that situation where you have situational basketball, you're trying to develop these kids to execute properly in these situations. To me, he should have had his best defenders out there and win or lose with that lineup out there. That's just what I thought.
See, one thing that I always
I get what you guys are saying.
Yeah.
The one thing I always go back to is, like, people get misconstrued with what tanking is in professional sports. Like, tanking, players and coaches don't necessarily tank. Players play for contracts. They want to play as well as they could. Coaches play for contracts. They play as well as they could.
Yeah.
The front office is the people that tank. Like, they could be like, okay, we want this draft pick. This is kind of a down year. Let's try to put a roster in place to see what we got.
Or how you rush players.
And even in Fizdale's case, he can even be like a tanking head coach. But what a tanking head coach does is put the young players in. And my point is that tanking isn't necessarily an odyssey to lose. Like, it's not just like losing. Tanking is putting your young guys in place. Yes, if you put your young guys in place, they'll probably lose you a bunch of games. You'll probably get a high draft.
But I'll say this, though. I'll say this and appreciate. All right, go ahead, Jake. Go ahead.
But if your young guys are the guys that come out on top, and if we're winning games on the backs of guys like Knox, Frank, Dotson, and they start rattling off games, all of a sudden we become a playoff contender. Will I be upset about that? No, especially without KP,
right?
Because that means we're way ahead.
Overachieve.
Guys are incredibly far ahead of the schedule, and I wouldn't be upset about that. But when Mudiay is doing it, it's a different story.
I use the term tank facetiously. I call it Knicks tank. To me, it's just all about losing. But at the same time, how many coaches do you know trot out multiple? If I see the permutations of lineups that we have so far this year, the Knicks have to have more than the whole league combined. Have to. They have to. I've never seen that in my years of watching basketball, where you basically have extended training camp into the midseason mark, rolling out this guy. Every single person on the team has had a chance to start, with the exception of Isaiah Hicks. And for all intents and purposes, I would expect for Hicks to come in. He's gonna be starting for somebody at some point.
He'll get a shot. He'll get a shot.
You know what I mean?
Come game 70, Hicks is starting.
So I just say some of the tactics are sketchy, man. That's all I'm saying.
I agree, and I at this point in the season, I mean, it's kind of it kind of puts a little asterisk on my point.
Yeah.
I think that you got to rack up the L's now. At this point, you're so far gone. You're not making the play. Even in the Eastern Conference, you're 10 games behind the playoffs. is not a good position to be in. I think at this point it's like, yeah, let's rack up those L's. Let's get one of these Duke kids or John Morant, one of these guys, because it's a top-heavy draft. And if we get stuck with like the 7th or 8th pick, it's going to get a little sketchy in there.
Factuals. All right, back to the phones. Rock was waiting for a minute. My fault, Rock. Appreciate the call. Dame, we're going to go to Rock. We got Jamal. We got Kareem. We got Choplo, Yara on Q. Ace, I see you guys all in the chat. We're going to get to you. All right, Rock, you're up, man. Rock wants to talk about the whole team and Moutier. Rock, what's going on, man?
Fellas, I love the podcast. I watch it every time on YouTube.
Appreciate it,
man.
I
appreciate it.
Thanks for the support.
No problem. The point about Moutier, I think that if we look at him, the transition from where he is from last year to where he is now, when they first traded for him, everybody was upset because they're like, okay, this guy is garbage. Why are they trading for Moutier? And I think that everybody saw his talent, but it wasn't coming out. They saw the potential. Now you have Fizz there who's actually gotten this guy to produce buckets. I totally agree. He's not a two-way player. And neither is Tim. Tim, I think, is one of the worst defenders on the team, period. Because if you look at the game tape, a lot of the games that we've lost close is because Tim is not paying attention and he loses his man, and that man ends up scoring. Like the big game that we lost in Brooklyn early, and Knox tried to get the block. That's because Tim he was on the island by himself and didn't know where his man was, and Knox tried to save him late to block it. So we don't have a lot of two-way players, except for like maybe Dotson.
Right.
So I feel like, but you have to look at the development of Moutier from where he was. Last year, he would barely shoot because his confidence was that low. So now his confidence is high. So I think you got to give Fizz a minute to let him continue to get his confidence up. And then at the halfway point, now that your confidence is up, let's go back to the other part of your game where you were a distributor. Let's bring that back so that way we can coattail it together. And I feel like...
So there?
You losing?
Think we lost Rock.
Games that they're playing, it's at least the games that they're playing, they're competitive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can stay interested in the game. There's going to be games where we just get blasted, and we know that. But I think as Knicks fans, the fact that these guys come out almost every night and they compete, and they like if you look at the Warriors game, we competed with the Warriors at least a full half, and it was a good game. But you know, at one point, the sleeping giant was going to wake up, and they're just going to blow us out of the water. But the fact that they didn't scare and they didn't wilter at the defending champions, and they came to play, that's encouraging as a Knicks fan. So I feel like we have to look at the development. Yeah, Fizdale is going to make a lot of mistakes. I don't agree with all of his stuff. Like, Dotson, I agree, should have been there. I think Mitch should have been in the game, at least try to block the shot.
That's what I thought. Now, that's all I thought, Rock, and appreciate the call, bro. That's all I'm saying here. You know what I'm saying? I rarely criticize Fizz. I'm giving him house money this year. I want to see him be here all 4 years. No matter what, win or lose, I want to see him be here all 4 years with this team and how they put the team together with help from Mills and Perry. Then we can make... Then I can make my assessment. That's how I feel about it. You know what I'm saying, Jake?
Listen, I'm all for Mills being there all 4 years, as long as it means that James Dolan dies and Steve Mills.
Nah, man. Nah. I don't co-sign that, man. This dude, Jake, you might be ruining my promotion, man.
No, Fizdale, like, again, I would love to see Fizdale stay all 4 years because that means that he's winning. He's not going to stay there if he can't go on some upward ladder. You know, you start here, like the bottom of the bottom, and, like, that's fine and dandy. But if there's no progress being made, then, there's going to be some people. I mean, like, if you look at the last, 10, 15 years of the Knicks, like, we've had like 11 or 12 coaches or something. Like coaches have not lasted.
It's coaching
more than
carousel, man. It's been about 13 in the last like 11 years or some craziness like that. So
it's not a good thing. And like, listen, I mean, it's just more of the same all the time because of the two people on top that has been there since 2000 who has started the trend of terrible basketball for the New York Knicks, and that's James Dolan and Steve Mills. They've been there from the start. I mean, like, James Dolan owns the team. There's not much you can do. But Steve Mills, he's the cockroach. He just can't die. He makes every poor decision right along. He's Dolan's inside man.
He is, but that's how Dolan operates, man. He takes care of the business side, and he puts that one guy that he trusts, and he stays loyal. He stays loyal, man, to a fault.
Listen, he hitched his wagon to the right guy. He makes millions of dollars doing an awesome job because he's best friends with James Dolan. I mean, it must be quite a life.
Factuals, man. All right, back to the phones. Sorry, back to the phone. Jamal from Jersey wants to talk about the rotations and Moutier. Jamal, what's going on, bro?
What's up? How y'all doing?
How you feeling, bro?
I'm all right. I'm gonna be quick. I just don't like that. I think Fizdale like platoon substitute all the time, and he don't even need to. And I think even going back like to the Melo days, I hate coaches that coach by a system like at the certain minute mark they're gonna take a guy out because he constantly removing guys when they hot, sit them for a while, and come back in, and now they cold again, and it's like a whole new ball game. Like I don't get why coaches do that. You should coach to the flow of the game. If a guy's hot,
Fizdale, that kind of confuses me sometimes.
Right. But we've been doing that ever since the Melo days, too. Like, Melo will come out on fire for the first quarter. They'll sit him down with, like, 3 minutes left, bring him in halfway second quarter. He can't hit a shot then. Like, coach to the flow of the game for me, please. Please do that.
Makes sense.
And we losing, but we not losing the right way because we're losing with Timmy and them on the floor at the end when it should be the young guys. That's what it's about, the young guys. So I'm glad that we losing, but it goes for naught if the young guy's not out there. And my last point and problem with Fizdale is he's not working Kevin Knox in the offense. Kevin Knox is having to do it on his own or whenever the ball comes to him. He should slowly but surely be incorporating him and building his confidence and teaching him how to be a go-to scorer in this league. I don't get it.
That's a big problem. That's a big problem I have with Fizdale. I mean, it's more of the same. I mean, I completely and wholeheartedly agree that he relies far too much on Moutier, which is the confusing part because instead of like putting guys like Frank and Knox, like guys that we drafted, guys that we invested so much in, we did not invest a lot in Moutier. We traded Doug McDuckets. Those ducks at the rim, and people want to act like he's some great shooter or something.
I was not a McBuckets fan, man. He stunk.
We had plenty of conversations on that one.
He stunk here, but anyway.
He was bad. But, like, we didn't invest a lot in Moutier, and if he's the one that doesn't turn out great, so be it. It's not going to hurt us that much in the grand scheme of things. We drafted Knox and Frank. We wasted 2 lottery picks. I say wasted, like, in quotation marks.
Right, used them.
We used 2 lottery picks on Frank and Knox. We could have gotten guys like Dennis Smith Jr. or who's the other one? Malik Monk, and there was a whole Donovan Mitchell for all you Monday morning quarterbacks that like to say that you liked Donovan Mitchell at 9 or 7 going into the draft. But I'm saying, like, we invested a lot in these guys, and Fizdale should focus more of his energy in developing Frank and Knox as opposed to putting all of his time and effort into Moutier, who is so not like a big...
but in fairness, though, Moutier had a stretch where he was the best point guard on the team. In all fairness, Frank wasn't keeping what he killed. Trigger, for a certain stint, took a couple steps back. And we've seen, we've seen with Trey, man. I like Trey. I'm a big fan of Trey, but I feel like he's best suited as instant offense off the bench. I always felt that way. I always will. So to me, Moutier, even with his faults, I still don't blame them for prioritizing trying to develop it into something because you still have to make a decision at the end of the season on whether you're going to bring him back or not. So, yes, I was with the Frank thing, and I said, he is our lottery pick. He has to be developed. But also I see that, you have to decide, is Moutier, taking the reins from him to the point where you have to consider maybe bringing him back. That's just me. I'm not saying that they should. I'm just saying I understand why they are doing that.
No, I get what you're saying. I do. It's fair. For people that like Moutier more than Frank, I'm not knocking you. Like, Moutier has shown more than Frank. I'm just saying that in terms of potential, I like Frank's potential. He is long. He has tools that Moutier doesn't have. I mean, Moutier is not like athletic enough to make up for the size advantage that Frank has. Frank is much better defensively than Moutier is.
Agree with that.
And as in terms of offense, I mean, it's historically proven throughout the NBA that a good coach can teach offense. Offense is one of the easiest taught things in the NBA, and it's more of a knock on Fizdale than Frank. That if Frank's offense never comes along, that's more of a coaching flaw.
Yes, obviously the coach has something to do with the play development. I get that. But listen, some guys just don't pan out. I don't know what Frank is going to be. I don't know if he's going to be take the starting reins. I still think that Frank can be a rotational piece when this team gets better talent-wise that can help this team in some way, shape, or form. I just don't know what it's going to be yet. You know what I'm saying?
All it comes down to is, like, we still got Frank under contract.
Yeah.
We're going to have to pay Moutier eventually, and if we're paying him in the $8 to $10 million range, it's going to hurt. It's going to be like Steve Mills. It's going to be like Steve Mills
did it
James
again.
Dolan,
He gave him the Timmy. He gave him the Timmy sweetheart deal.
They take their hand. They just go inside my chest, rip my heart out. That's what they're going to do. It's going to hurt.
Hey, we didn't get you KD, but here's Moutier in a 4-year max.
Yeah, great. 4-year max. Let's give him 4 years, $72 million. His average 15 points and 1 assist.
Oh God, Jamal, appreciate the call. Back to the phones. We got a couple guys waiting. Choplo's on deck. Choplo wants to talk about the game. How you feeling, bro?
Yo, CPZ, Moneezy.
How's it feel? How you feeling, man? Yo, we got a lot of calls in this early matinee tilt, man. A lot of people calling in, man. I think a lot of people skip work for this game.
Yeah, for real. Listen. Because we watched the game, but I just want to say something. When you saw the sequence, not the sequence, but when you saw you had Dotson on the floor, you had Mitchell Robinson on the floor, right? You had the young boys on the floor, Kevin Knox. They was playing very well with Frank Ntilikina, right? Mm-hmm. When Hardaway came on the floor, I don't want to be a hater, right? Because I see potential in him. He can be great, right? But when Hardaway came on the floor, we was up by 12. But when he came on the floor, that 12 went back down to like 1. We was down by 1, and then I don't even know what happened, and then we lost the game, if you will.
It just got away from us quickly, man. 15-2 Wizards run.
It's literally crazy how every team that the Knicks plays turn into the Golden State Warriors.
Is this not a super tank?
In a blink of an eye.
Is this not a super tank?
Well, listen,
is this not a super tank in London?
They certainly drove the tank to London, man, and blew it, man. But the
British fans got a strong taste of what Knicks fan life is.
Absolutely.
In like a little dose, they got a strong taste.
Absolutely, man. And Choplo, appreciate the call. I just want to make sure we get to everybody. All right, let's get to Kareem. We're going to go to Kareem, and then we get to player ratings real quick, and then finish off the calls. All right, Kareem, he wants to talk about the game, and he wants to weigh in on the Moutier tank. Kareem, just turn.
Yo, what's up, man? What's going on, fellas?
Yo, you got your connection sound kind of far away, man. Where you at, bro?
Shit, I'm at work, bro. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man, it sound kind of noisy in there, man. Tell them turn down the music or something, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man, I'm over everybody's machines and all that, man. I have to get my point across, man.
Yo, tell them turn the machines off. We trying to talk Knicks, man. Prioritize, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I wish it was that simple, man. But can y'all hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead, real quick. Yep, go ahead.
All right. First off, man, I gotta say shout out to the chat. I love what you're doing. I'm a first time caller, long time listener.
Appreciate it.
Now we got that out the way. I gotta.
Oh man, Jake, don't tell me we lost him.
I don't know.
We lost him.
I was pretty excited for that
We
call,
lost.
man.
We lost him, man.
He was off to a real hot start.
Kareem was ready to go. He shut off the machine. He was ready to go. It got real quiet. Kareem, my fault, man. Call back. We'll get you in. All right, let's get to these player ratings real quick. You got the box score open, Jake?
I do now.
Let's get to it, man. Shout out everybody in the chat watching along with us, supporting the show. Subscribe to the channel, man. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This is the home of the diehard Knicks fan, where we talk about news, rumors, everything, man. Post-game live streams. We got the best chat on YouTube. #1 Knicks fan post-game show on YouTube.
Yo, Shells in the chat just goes, "Homie got fired."
Yo, shout out my guy Shells, man. Shells was like the #1. He was like the first fan of the show, man. Shout out Shells.
I thought that was me, but whatever.
Well, I was on your show first. To be completely
that's actually
fair.
true.
I was on your podcast first.
Somebody said I gave you your start. Props to me for being the birther of this channel. No.
Factuals, man. You launched KnicksFanTV, man. Appreciate it, bro. All right, so here's the custom of the player ratings, Jake. This is your first player rating.
Is it just for this game only?
Just for this game.
All right, cool.
So start with we start with our 3 stars of the night. Give me your third, your second, and your first ranked player of tonight. Who you thought played the best? Your top 3.
All right, third, I got a 2-way tie, and it's it's gonna seem like I'm doing this off of points, but it's not. I got Dotson and Trier tied for the third start. Dotson for the way he played. I continue to be impressed with Dotson. He just shows some great things and stuff that you can use moving forward, and he showed more of that tonight. The reason why I got Trier tied with him is because of that buzzer-beating goaltend that lost us the game. That might as well have been the championship right there. That was unbelievable.
So plus one for the tank.
That was like Michael Jordan level clutch tank.
Oh my god, man! All right.
At number 2, I'm gonna put Moutier.
Okay.
And takes a lot for me. I'm not a huge Moutier fan, but for this game only, if we're talking about guys that put us in a position to win, it was absolutely Moutier. He had one of those games where he was efficient shooting the ball, didn't rack up the assists so much, which is why I put him at 2. Yeah. But in the last 4 minutes, like I said in the beginning of the show, he wanted the ball. He had that killer instinct. He was the guy, and he was the guy that we went to, and he came through for a majority of the time. And at number 1, I'm going to put Luke Cornett. I continue to be impressed. I like the way his game is shaped. I like the way he kept this whole game. It seemed like he had his paws all over all the good things that we were doing. And, yeah, man, I love Luke. I think that he could be a very solid player for us moving forward.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, man. Good first start to your player ratings, man. I think I'm gonna go number 3. I'm gonna go honorable mention to ISO for bouncing back. ISO's been in a bit of a slump lately. Yeah. So I'm gonna go 3 for ISO. I'm gonna go honorable mention for ISO, and I'm gonna go honorable mention for Noah Vonleh. Noah Vonleh, 13 points, 10 boards, 6 of 11 from the field, plus 6 on the night. He's a beast. I think he's one of our best 2-way players along with Dotson, and I'm going to give my number 3 to Dotson. I thought Dotson has been struggling as of late. Came back, had a good game tonight, 5 of 8 from the field, 3 rebounds, 2 dimes, plus 7 on the night. Like I said, I would have liked to see him closing out there, but it is what it is. I'll give Dotson my number 3. I'll give Moutier the 2, 25 points, 7 boards, 11 for 18 from the field. Moutier's field goal percentage is one of those positives for him all year.
Oh, absolutely.
All year. And I also you got to give him credit. Yes, he did finish with the 5 turnovers. He was as much part of helping the Wizards come back, but he also had some clutch buckets in the 4th as well. And
I love that. I mean, listen. For what it is, I mean, you gotta love the fact that Moutier wants the ball in the 4th. I don't want him on the team next year. Doesn't mean I can't enjoy him while we got him.
Facts. Number 1, I agree with you. Luke Cornett, ISO Luke, as I used to call him. 4 for 6 from 3, 16 points, 5 steals. The other game against Philly, he had over 5 assists. This time, 5 steals. good job by Luke Cornett, man. He's getting more and more comfortable in the offense. He's getting more and more comfortable with the flow of the game compared to his rookie year. And I like him, man. I really hope they bring him back if they can get him on the cheap. And, I think they should be able to at this point. But I like what Luke Cornett is bringing to us. I like his prospects as a backup big on this team next to Money Mitch.
I really like the comparison that the caller earlier made, comparing him to like a not useless defensive version of Ryan Anderson. I can definitely see that a little bit. I mean, he'll get his boards, but like he's more athletic than people want to give him credit for. He has some lateral quickness.
He can move.
He can protect the rim. 5 steals tonight for a big man. That's tough, man. That's
5
real
steals.
Tough. And like him and Mitch together on the same floor is like coming off the bench too, with a little development in there. That could be scary for the Knicks in the future, man.
Factuals, man. So what would you starting with Luke Cornett? How would you rate him this game on a 1 to 10 scale?
I'm gonna give him for this game. Man, I'm a harsh grader. I really am.
What are you thinking?
Like
man?
This whole game didn't really impress me as a whole. Luke did. I'll give him like an 8.6.
Okay. I would give him. I'd probably give him about a 7. I think I'd give him about a 7.
All right. So you're harsher than me.
Yeah, I give him about a 7. Because I take quality of opponent into consideration as well. The Wizards, to me, were dog-ish. He still had a good game. Don't get me wrong.
Nah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, he did the glue guy stuff. Should not go unnoticed. Should never go.
Factuals. How about Moutier? How you grading Moutier for this game?
Well, on the scale that I set for myself, giving Cornett an 8.6 in this game, I'm going to give Moutier a 7.2.
Yeah. I probably give Moutier the same 7. I give him the same 7, taking some point off for the turnovers. Thought the defense and the turnovers hurt us.
When a point guard gets more turnovers than assists, it's pretty eyebrow raising.
Obviously.
I never like that.
Actually, absolutely. So yeah, we're gonna dock Moutier some points there. So I give him a 7. Who else here? How about ISO? ISO, what do you give him ISO? The return of ISO.
ISO gets a 10. I still cannot get over that buzzer-beating, losing goaltend. Like, I can't stress enough. I have never seen that before.
Unseen, man.
It was unbelievable. I mean, like, again, if this is all a master plan for Fizdale, kudos. Because if you were like, all right, let Thomas Bryant get to the basket and then swat that shit away, goaltend, it's like,
ISO,
props. That's great. No, but in all seriousness, ISO coming back from his little slump, coming out, showing out a little bit. I'll give him around the same where I gave Moody. I'll give him like a 7.1.
Yeah, I would give him and Dotson about it'd be like a 6.5. 6.5. I give ISO and Dotson
a little bit less than Moutier for the game.
Yeah.
Him and Dotson, I'd probably put in the same category there.
Factuals. Vonleh, I'd probably give the same as Cornett. I'd probably give him a 7, man.
Yeah. He goes up a little bit for me. I mean, ranking wise for the game, I mean, I just come to expect a certain standard from Vonleh. I think
which is interesting.
He's one of the players, and it's kind of crazy how it came about that I can like rely on a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, build statue, double, play good defense. So, I mean, kind of at the standard that he's been playing at and just being consistent, I'd probably give him 7.7.
Yeah. I agree with you on that one, man. John Talento in the chat says Vonleh's at 8. What do you guys think in the chat, man? What do you guys think? Who will be your top 3? Give us some player ratings, 1 to 10 for guys like Noah Vonleh, Luke Cornett, ISO Zoe, Dotson. What'd you guys think? And tough loss. What'd you guys think of Moutier tonight?
That guy named Airspace.
Factuals. All right, man. So that was a play ratings. Good job on that one, Jake. We're gonna get back to some calls and get to the fan Q&A. Cover some more stuff. We got about 40 more minutes. We'll go to about 8, and then wrap up, man.
Cool. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, man. Shout out everybody in the chat one more time. Hit that thumbs up button for your boys. If you support the show, if you're a diehard Knicks fan, subscribe to the channel. Jake, where can they find you at on social media? Let them know where they can find you at.
On social media, you guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at @the_Lennox. That's at THE_LEKNICKS. We're going to come out with our YouTube channel. I think we're actually going to join CP on the channel, so it will be easy to find.
Yeah, man.
It's my brother and I. We do our podcast. We've been doing it for about 3 years now. We haven't done one yet this year because I had to move and shift around a lot of the technology, so we're going to come live on YouTube. And for those that already followed us and listen to the podcast, we appreciate you guys. Always down for more listening.
Yeah, man. All right, back to the phones. Q, my fault, man. You've been waiting for a while. Just trying to get you in here, man. Who wants to talk about where we go from here? Q, how you feeling, bro?
What's good, CP?
How you feeling, bro?
Hey, man, I'm good, man. This whole season has been a depressing and roller coaster season, but I think I've seen some lights, man. I done watched the game set 2 times, and just touch on a couple of things. Let's get away from this Moutier thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Rick is killing us, man. He's getting everybody fired up.
Rick is torching the chats with the Moutier.
Each other. Yeah, man. He's got us turning against each other. Knicks Nation does not need, this, okay? We're already in trouble.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, we got to get away from Moutier. We know one thing. He's not an IQ player. Mm-hmm. He's not a smart player at all. He's what you call bad basketball in the NBA. All offense, no defense.
Now, Q, let me stop you there because you're a coach, right? You're a coach. And we had got into the Fizdale topic. What's your take on some of these decisions? How did you like the last sequence of plays there in terms of how Fizdale called it?
Well, first of all, it was a good point saying letting everybody know what a true tank is. As a coach, you don't play to lose.
Right.
You never play to lose.
Mm-hmm.
You should have defensive players in the game. You should have high IQ players in the game. Unfortunately, Moutier gets you some buckets, but he has a bad IQ, man. You don't want turnovers at the end of the game. If you're trying to win the game, we're talking about winning. You don't want turnovers. You don't want bad defense. You want stops. And at the end of the day, if we go with these young guys and let them make mistakes, I'll go with it. I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
We know right now that what Tim Hardaway brings. We know what Moutier brings. To a certain extent, we kind of know what Trier brings. These guys are one-on-one type of players. They're not two-way players. They're one-trick ponies is what I call them. I have players that they only could do one thing and score. But I'm losing as a coach because they can't play defense at all. And I watched the game twice. These dudes don't even want to play defense. So let's be serious. So I get Rick. I know that's his guy. But I'm watching Tim. I'm watching Moutier. They don't even want to play defense. And for the culture,
absolutely
which the one thing I'm pissed off at Fizz is he's got to keep this culture thing strong. If he came in talking about we're going to be a defensive team, we're going to protect the garden, you're not going to come in here and just score 50 on it. I remember Fizz saying all that stuff. You better keep the culture. You know what I mean? We got to play hard.
That's part of it.
We got to play these young guys, and he needs to tell Barnley, put a guy on his back once in a while. You know what I mean? You're not just going to walk through the lane. I've seen these guys flying through the lane.
Yep.
This is one point I want to make. I looked at the schedule. We got 36 games to go.
Yeah.
Potentially, we can win only 4 of those games based on the teams we're playing. If we're going to do that, let's just play the young guys. Put Tim on the shelf, say he's hurt. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We know what we're getting out of Moutier. We don't need no more from Moutier. Is he real? Think about it, fellas. Is he really going to get better? Is he really going to show us something else the rest of the season? No. Moutier's a one-trick pony, man. And he only has, every game, the beginning, he had, 6 assists. Now he's getting 2 or 3, so we know what he's doing. He's trying to do him. Cool, no problem. I'm not paying this guy $10 to $12 million for a guy that has no IQ. So we need to move forward, especially with Knicks Nation. Let's stop all this Moutier junk. We know, Tim, we got to trade this guy somehow. And, hey, if we're tanking, we need to get, if we get Zion, everything changes. But we really need Jay Morant. Because I'll tell you this. You can put the argument he doesn't play at a big school. You can put the argument that this guy doesn't really play competition. But he's a multi-dimensional player. And if he's multi-dimensional, we're going to get something good out of it. Multiple assists. Knox is a finisher. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Jake.
The one thing I want to counteract on that, I love Ja Morant. Let's make that very, very clear. Steve Naismith. Let me be very, very clear. Ja Morant is an animal. There's something about people that just does not change. Like, you see all these guys in the NBA have so much success coming into the, like, look at guys like Draymond Green, Luka Doncic, LeBron James even. Like, these guys, like, the one knock that they had coming out is, like, what position are they going to play? And my argument to that is, who cares? These guys know how to ball. And Ja Morant is that type of guy.
Yeah.
At a dish, he can rebound, he can score, he can pull up a stat sheet, and like he
do
plays
it
at
all.
Murray State,
He's a
but he
Westbrook
is
guy.
a killer, and he's catapulted Murray State into a top 25 team on his back, and he's a bad dude, man.
Yeah.
The one thing I have as a concern is Ja Morant is that he doesn't shoot a very high percentage from three-pointer. That's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
But the Knicks get Ja Morant, pair him up with the young guys we already have. He's gonna be a nightmare in the NBA.
Go ahead, Q.
Well, that's why I'm mad at Fizz. This is why I'm mad at Fizz. And I know CP and Jake, you know. One thing about Frank that is like weird, he actually has good shooting form. He actually looks like he can shoot.
Confidence ain't there, man.
So
100%.
So what is it? It's confidence. It's weird. And Jake was right. I don't know if you said it or Jake said it, CP. It's really on the coach to develop a player.
That's a fact.
And if we took Frank at number 7, why the? I mean, not 9 or 7. I don't know, but top 10. But why the hell are we not playing Frank at all 3 positions? I get it. Frank may not be the point guard of the future, but put him everywhere and develop him.
Can I run my conspiracy theory by you? I'm going to run my conspiracy theory by you real quick. Let me see what you think about this. And it's something that I actually do believe in and whatever. People can hate on Phil Jackson all they want. He wasn't good with the Knicks. He made a lot of mistakes. I'm not going to defend Phil Jackson in any way, shape, or form. But ever since the quote-unquote new regime has come up in here, it seems to me that the upper management, along with the coaching, is trying to make the players that Phil Jackson gathered and kind of put them in the trash can and be like, okay, he was a Phil Jackson guy, so he stunk. As opposed to being like, listen, Phil Jackson drafted this guy high, yes, but he's still an asset that we can work with. I feel like the Knicks front office is more obsessed with turning Phil Jackson into this hated creature more so than making the pieces that he got us work. And that's something that bothers me.
Well, they're freezing Frank. They're freezing him out. So if he leaves, they'll just say, if they trade him or whatever, they're going to say, oh, he's a Phil Jackson guy. But how dare they do that to KP? They're not going to do it to KP.
No,
but why do it to Frank when you can possibly have a shooting guard that plays D and you can put at the point and can play the 3? Multi-dimensional. What is Golden State doing? They're doing the multi-dimensional, multiple player positions. And Fizz said that. That's why it's killing me because Fizz should be developing Frank.
Yeah, I mean, the Frank dynamic, the Frank thing is just it's always gonna be a mystery, man.
It's weird.
It's weird. I don't know what's gonna happen. You know,
it's mystery meat, man.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen.
It's mystery meat.
I can't call it, man. Appreciate the call though, Q. Appreciate the support, man. Always, bro.
No doubt, fellas.
Yeah, man.
I like what he had to say. There's a lot of good things that he had to say. And the one main takeaway I would take from that phone call is the tweener mindset. Like, people get so stuck on positions in the NBA. And the more you see these teams develop, like the successful teams in the NBA, the more you see positionless basketball. And I always turn back to Brad Stevens, and I think he's the most brilliant coach in the NBA, bar none. I'll take him over Pop. I'll take him over Steve Kerr. I don't care.
Oh, you got to take him over Pop? You got to take him over Pop?
Look what he did last year.
Nah, man.
He led a team of 20-year-olds to the Eastern Conference Championship
but it's the
without
East.
Kyrie Irving.
It's the East.
You could say it's the East, but he does more with less. But
I can't put him over Pop, man, because Pop is a G, man. Pop is a god, man. Pop is a god.
That's fair. Pop has the resume, but I'm just saying that Brad Stevens, in terms of the new age NBA, I think he has more of an idea of how to create a successful team than anybody.
That's why they wanted him. I agree with that.
And that's, Boston Celtics playing chess while everybody else plays checkers. They're not afraid to go there, and that's something that they do. But he stresses the idea of positionless basketball, that it's not point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center anymore. It's guard, wing, big. Like, these guys, if they have a multifunctional game, like if these guys are 6'9" and can pass the ball like Ben Simmons, he's not playing power forward. He's playing point guard. And you're going to pair him up with another guy who could shoot the ball, who complements his game. And then, you know what? If your whole lineup is above 6'9", but you have guys that can play the positions of the court, a distributor, a shooter, a rim protector, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all.
Yeah. And it's so funny. Things have not really changed that much since the old days, man. I just think the game is about trends, but the trends aren't new. Positionless basketball, back in the day, Frazier and Monroe, it wasn't a point guard, shooting guard. They both brought the ball up.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
People get so caught up in roles. And, yes, roles are important in terms role players. People have to know where they fit on a team.
Right.
But just because they're 7 feet doesn't mean that they have to stay under the basket. Just because KP is 7'3" doesn't mean he has to be on the post all the time. I think KP's best served on the perimeter.
Yeah, but KP's not a post player. You have to be able to supplement his deficiencies there with somebody else. That's why you have a guy like a Mitch.
That's a fact. And Mitch Robinson also, just because he's 7 feet, he's not really an offensive guy. But if you kind of, use him on the picks and stuff, get more fast break opportunities.
Get the lobs,
and all this stuff. Yeah, you have to structure, and this is a big knock I have on a lot of coaches in the NBA. They prioritize a system over the players, and I hate Pat Riley. I will forever die on this hill saying I hate Pat Riley.
But Riles always was able to adjust to his talent.
That's a fact. He was better than anybody at prioritizing the player over his system. He went from Showtime Lakers
Knicks.
to the 90s gritty Knicks and then back to Miami with the two-man game with Tim Hardaway and Alonzo Mourning.
Yeah, it's true, man. Riles was able to adjust to the talent instead of force feeding system, and that's why that triangle thing with Phil, not to rip open a scab or a scar.
That was a big problem with Phil.
That was the dumbest thing I ever seen, man.
It was so he cared more about trying to revive the triangle. I mean, the triangle could come back in 30 years because the game is cyclical in that. I mean, the triangle's been around since the beginning of the game. And it was at its peak in the 90s. Now it's on a downturn. Who knows? In 2050, there may be a type of player that, makes the triangle relevant again. But right now, with the players the Knicks have, no, it's not important for the triangle to be implemented. That was the biggest knock I had on Phil Jackson.
It was crazy, man. All right, man. Ace, man. You were waiting for a while, man, but we finally got to you. Ace from Queens wants to weigh in on all this. What's going on, man?
Yeah, man, I ain't gonna lie, man. Q kind of took my fire, man. I don't want to keep beating on the dead horse, so I'm gonna just keep what I was gonna say quick, man.
Okay.
Moutier and Frank aren't the guys, so let's just everybody in the chat let it go. Stop trying to pick them two and try to put.
I haven't been able to keep up with the chat. What's going on in the chat, man? Is it Team Moutier versus Team Frank in there? What's up?
It's literally Moutier versus Frank right now.
It's Team Moutier versus Team Frank in the chat.
It's like every chat I'm in, it's like that, and I just had enough today. Like, yo, man, if we would have had this guy, we would have had that guy, we would have been better. But like, yo, the Knicks are trash, man. Like, everybody except for Knox, KP, Mitchell Robinson, and I even give Trey a break. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's trash on the city.
It's trash.
Yeah.
So everybody got to stop blaming Fizz. It's not Fizz. Fizz is
Yeah.
trying to do what he can with the team. He's trying to do his best pretty much. And at the end of the day, we kind of tanking. So it's like, why is everybody getting so mad when we lose? Like, yo, it is what it is. And we got robbed tonight. Trier did not go to that ball, man.
What you think, Jake? I thought it was coming down. I thought it was coming down a little bit. I thought it was just starting to turn when ISO blocked that shit.
Sometimes you forget how big these guys are, and from the vantage point that Thomas Bryant was in, like, that ball was going down when it left his hand, pretty much.
That's what it looked like to me.
It went up for like a split second, but then it was coming down. I thought it was definitely close. I mean, you could definitely make the argument, but listen,
Can you see that in fast motion, though?
In fast motion,
in slow motion.
It definitely looked like the refs were like, well, let's get this Knicks L real quick. Like the fact that he made that call.
Yeah, like it was like the rest was a part of the tank too. Like, yo, man, Adam Silver made the call. Like, nah, we got to make sure to get a good kick this year, man. Nah, man, they played hard to get us out of here, man.
Yeah, man. All right, Ace, man. Yo, Ace, just patrol the chat, man. I'm about to make you a moderator, Ace. Just patrol the chat and make sure everything is still put together. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
This vision is John Morant, KP, and Knox. What y'all think about that, man?
I'd love it.
I've been thinking about it. I've been talking to a lot of people about that exact scenario, and it's scary. It's very scary.
I love it. I mean, listen, I'm not going to front like I know this kid Morant, completely, but from the games I've seen about 3 or 4 games from him so far. The kid is a gamer, man. I'm dying to see that point guard with the Knicks come with that dog in him.
One game.
Say that, Ace?
Yo, listen, this kid got more assists in one game than Moutier got this season put together, man.
Yeah. I like him, man. Yes, I understand the shot is not there, but you can work on that. I'm not saying he'll be perfect at it, but you can improve on your shot.
John Wall couldn't shoot when he first came in the league.
That's a fact. I just feel like this kid has the intangibles, man.
I also love the fact that John Morant's Instagram handle is I got game. Just like putting it out there.
Yeah.
I got game.
Putting it out there, man. Look how he gets guys involved. How can you not like that?
New York, man.
Nah, John Morant.
Yeah. And do you really think that Zion will really turn us around? Because I don't believe he'll turn us around.
I
still
think
player.
he's a beast.
I got reservations about Zion personally. I really feel like people are overhyping Zion, and Zion is a beast. I don't want to get it misconstrued. I think he's going to become an excellent NBA player, but I think that there is a fair amount of risk with Zion.
Sure.
Because right now, people want to act like he is completely dominant and ignoring the fact that he is a very flawed basketball player and a very flawed basketball player. He's got.
Did y'all see that last Duke game? How they lost? Why they lost? The last Duke game.
Which one, against Syracuse?
Because Zion went up against a guy that was actually tall and could block his shot. So at the end of the game, when he was trying to drive to the basket and overpower everybody like he do, they stopped him from scoring. What do you think going to happen in the NBA?
He's not going to be able to do the same thing in the NBA. At least right away, he's not going to be. He's not going to be able to do the same thing.
He might not be able to bully ball everybody, but let's not act like everybody in the NBA is just over physical and everything. He can definitely get his way.
He's not going to be the guy that steps into the NBA and performs like a guy like Luka Doncic is. If you're going to look for a guy that's going to be, a player right off the bat, I would say go with John Morant or RJ Barrett. Those guys' games are a lot more refined than Zion. However, Zion, his ceiling is unreal. Like his ceiling is endless because of that athleticism.
I'll take the chance. I'll put it that way. I'll take the chance.
Listen, that's fair.
I understand his flaws. I understand his flaws, but I see a guy that has court vision. I see a guy that can defend. We want to play defense, right? I see a guy that can be a two-way player. I see a guy that can pass the ball well. I see a guy that has speed, athleticism. Of course. I'm just talking about if we get the number one, which is the obvious pick. You know what I mean? I don't think he's going to go.
I don't think it's as obvious as people make it out, personally. I mean, Zion,
if we get Zion, right?
Yeah.
I'll let him go. You go,
If we get Zion, what's the lineup with Zion? What's the starting five?
Well, that's the interesting part. That's an interesting point, Jake.
I think it would be something like Frank,
Because is KP ready to play the 5 full time?
I think he is. I think he's going to come
Frank is
back.
not starting, man. Frank is not starting, man.
Frank is
not starting. Frank doesn't want to start.
Okay, let's put a question mark at the 1. At the 2, we have Timmy, right?
Timmy, Dotson, someone.
At the 3, you're gonna go Knox. At the 4, you're gonna go Zion, and at the 5, you're gonna go KP. That's what you have to do that.
It's not a bad lineup, honestly.
And see how it works. You would have to see how that works first.
But you know, KP don't want to play the 5, though.
That's the problem. I don't think he wants to play the 5, Jake. I don't think he wants to play the 5.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think he's
full time.
And I think that's why we got Mitch, because they know KP don't want to play the 5. So that's why we probably drafted Mitch.
I think that's going to be an interesting question. And I think when they're at the negotiating table, they're going to have to find that out. You know what I mean? Like, where's his head at in playing the 5 full time? Because the rumors were that he wasn't happy with it.
Yeah, I think, my ultimate view for KP is at the 5. I haven't seen anything that makes me think that he doesn't want to play the 5. When he gets placed at the 5, he plays well. Maybe a little bit bullied, but, like, he's taking the whole year off. All he's doing is working on his body while that knee is healing.
You gotta remember last season. When he was playing the 5, he was crying in the interview talking about when he plays the 5, he gets tired.
Yeah.
And the guys beat up on him.
Right.
Remember that.
Right.
But I do think that next year he's going to come back and he's going to look very, very different because he hasn't been able to do with a torn ACL. It's tough to work on stuff that he probably traditionally was. He was probably in the gym working on his upper body more because he can't really do much with his legs in the meantime. He probably worked on his standing jump shot, just keeping his touch fresh, but also being in the gym and working on his upper body strength. I truly believe, and I hope I'm not being a Knicks homer in saying this, that Kristaps is going to come back and he's going to look a lot different. He's going to be a man. I hope so. He's going to be a man. He's going to resemble a lot more like
the one thing I want from KP.
All right. Yep.
The one thing I want from KP when he comes back is for him to be a rebounder, man. You cannot be 7-3 and coming out of games with 6 or 7 rebounds, man. That's all I ask for.
Well,
I got one thing to counteract that argument. The one thing about KP, the one thing about KP being a rebounder is that he has been paired along with Enes Kanter last year, and before that it was Robin Lopez, and those are 2 good rebounding centers. And also KP, the way he's been used so far is around the perimeter, so it doesn't really open up a lot of opportunities for him to get offensive boards. And even at the 4, he's guarding more perimeter players in that sense. So I feel like the players that he's paired along with take away a lot of the rebounds that he could potentially be getting. But you're not wrong in saying that he is not a great rebounder because he's not. But I feel like that's also going to come with strength. And when he comes back from the injury, he better come back strong. Like, that's the one thing I expect from KP. And if he doesn't, I'll be disappointed. I want him to come back stronger. That's the one. You
gotta hope so, because and appreciate the call, Ace. We're just gonna wrap up shortly. You gotta hope so, man, because that was the thing. Say what you will about Phil, that was the thing that he was most leery about in drafting KP, was how he was gonna hold up at that 7-3 frame. You know, at his style of game. So, but I hope the best for KP, man. I hope the best for KP. But it's just going to be interesting. You still have to go with the best player in the draft. If they get the number 1 pick, I don't see how they wouldn't go with Zion, try to figure it out, make it work in the end. You know what I'm saying?
Zion, I like Zion a lot. If the Knicks end up getting the first pick in the draft and they draft him, I will not be upset. Don't get this misconstrued. I think the kid is unbelievable, and I think he's very well deserving of a first pick in the draft. But I'm just saying, in terms of hypothetically, if we land one of these marquee free agents, whether it be Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving or something, and we're kind of ready to compete in the East and make a little playoff run, I think we're better served with R.J. Barrett because his game's a little bit more refined. He's also a matchup nightmare type of guy, 6'8". He can handle the ball. He can shoot. He's got a very refined game and a lot to work with. Or Ja Morant got a refined game. I think Zion's going to take a little bit more time to kind of develop. But when it comes to superstar potential, I think Zion's got it in spades. I think he's going to be
I agree.
More than okay. But he's got to work. If there's one thing that concerns me about Zion, it's the jump shot, because the jump shot is just plain not good right now, and the form is weird. He doesn't even, like, for a guy that could jump 50 inches at 280 pounds. He doesn't jump when he shoots the ball. And at 6'7",
he's on the ground.
He's on the ground. He's 6'7". That shot's going to get blocked in the NBA. So he's got to work on his form. So Zion, again, wouldn't be upset if the Knicks draft him. I don't want to. I don't want it to come across like I'm hating on Zion or anything. Absolutely not. I'm just saying that if we're ready to compete in the Eastern Conference, like if we land KD, we should absolutely go for a guy like Ja or RJ as opposed to Zion, in my opinion.
And that's why I said this before. I think it would behoove the league to make free agency first, like the NFL. Right? The NFL free agency's first, then the draft.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, it screwed over the Cavs 1,000 times over.
Exactly.
It got them LeBron James back when they got the first pick in the draft, but then LeBron came and he made him trade that for Kevin Love. It is kind of weird how it's done. I feel like the teams should be more formulated for the draft so they know what they need in free agency, because sometimes it turns into a big cluster heap. Like it's just like it's tough. It puts the front office in an awkward position for sure.
True. I agree with that, man. All right, we got 15 minutes left. Let's get into these rapid-fire news real quick, Jake. Just give me a quick takes on a couple of these trade rumors. Shout out everybody in the chat. Park CICU, G. Andrezzi, Sean Parker. Everybody watching on Twitter, on Facebook, on Periscope, on Twitch, on KnicksFilmSchool.com. I'm posting and toasting. Shout out to everybody who's been supporting thus far. Hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Subscribe to the channels. And, man, this is the post-game show, doing live post-game analysis and fan reactions after every game, featuring live callers.
Plug my mic for a second.
Yeah, it's all good. All good.
Well, did you say anything?
No, not yet. All right, so first trade, real quick. Sixers were interested in Vonleh, was the rumor. They've later shot that down through many reports. Bottom line is, would you try to put Vonleh on the block? Given his contract situation and given the need to build more assets.
90 seconds.
Don't worry about that timer either. Just go ahead.
All right. I said plenty of times that I wouldn't mind. I just don't see Vonleh being a Knick next year. I think he's going to get a decent-sized contract that I don't – he's not a guy that I would necessarily be upset if the Knicks brought back. I just think he's going to get paid a little too much, and if we want to make a big splash in free agency – it's not going to be financially sustainable to bring back Vonleh. I would definitely shop Vonleh if I were the Knicks. I would see what we could get. If we could get like a draft pick or two, maybe. I mean, a young player, something like that, a cheap player who's under contract for a couple more years. Why not? I would definitely look.
I agree. I would do it. I love Vonleh as a player. Like I said, I think he's one of our best two-way players on the team. I love the fact that how he's been able to have his best year of his career. You know, as a touted lottery bust, he's definitely bounced back. You got to give credit to our coaching staff for that. People want to see Fizz get credit. He's got to get credit for what he's doing with Noah Vonleh, man. They said they got the secret sauce and he's on it. The Sixers have the Bulls' second-round pick in the second round, which would be considered maybe a late first.
10 seconds.
You know, if you can get that for him, a high second, a late first, I think you got to do it, because at the end of the day, they don't have his full bird rights. So regardless if they're going to sign him now or sign him later, they would have to dip into the salary cap to sign him anyway. So you might as well, I would go to him and be like, listen, you've been great here. Go play for something, and we want to bring you back next year if that's how they feel.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, I'm a big Vonleh guy. Went to school with the guy. Called games for him in college. But again, if you let him go play for something. I like the way you put that. Like, go put him on a contender. I feel like he can help somebody. And if the Knicks benefit and it's the same thing I was saying about Courtney Lee in the past couple of years. Like, I want to see Courtney Lee succeed, and it's not as extreme because Vonleh's not as old and he has a longer career ahead of him. But I was saying this about Courtney Lee. Like, Courtney Lee is not best served on the Knicks, and now his trade value has plummeted. It plummeted. But back when he was getting buckets, he was getting 15 points per game, 3-and-D guy. I was like, ship him off to the Spurs, ship him off to the Warriors. Let him play for something, as opposed to just being a guy that can rack up some stats and showing how good he is on bum ass Knicks. Like I don't want to see that.
Problem with Lee is that contract, man, having an extra year with $12 million on it. It's hard for any team to want to pick that up. Next trade, so they said the Canner trade to Sacramento was pretty much off. That would have been a deal. That would have been Canner for Zach Randolph. Only issue I have with this is that if they're going to trade Canner, I want to see them at least get a second-round pick. Don't just trade him for just salary for salary. That makes no sense. Not to just appease him. You know what I'm saying? We got to try to get assets in any trade that we're making right now, including the salary dump.
See, my relationship with Enes Kanter has been a roller coaster ride. It is he very quickly rose through the ranks and turned into one of my favorite Knicks with that quote on LeBron. I mean, again, for anybody that knows me knows that I'm not a LeBron James guy. I don't like LeBron. I'm not a fan. And when he was messing with Frank, took an indirect shot at Frank and saying that we should have drafted Dennis Smith Jr. Over the 19-year-old French rookie. And then LeBron got into the squabble with Frank. Enes Kanter came to his helping and like he bullied LeBron a little bit. And he's just like, I don't care what you call yourself, king, queen, princess. We're going to fight. I was all about that. But then, you know, Enes kind of went on the LeBron tour over the summer, which I was not a fan of. I thought it made us as an organization and as a franchise
look weak.
Look even more pathetic than we usually do, which is a pretty big feat.
I wasn't feeling that. I like Kanter. You know, he's a jokey guy, happy-go-lucky guy, whatever. But I thought that was kind of weak.
And now with the Knicks in the dumpster and obviously needing pieces to to build through the draft and stuff, he keeps saying stuff like, I'm not down for playing like this and, you know, letting some guys get playing time ahead of me. I'm better, blah, blah, blah. Like, we need to see what we have with the young guys as opposed to please Kanter. And, like, it just doesn't seem like – he seems more of like a me guy than a we guy.
He came out like a chump. He came out like a chump to me on that.
So, like, at this point, my relationship with Kanter, I'm not a huge fan of him. So, if we can get rid of him, I mean, I still think he has trade value. He's an expiring contract, and he's a good player. He's a double-double machine, not kind of a defensive liability, doesn't really extend the floor too much. But I could, if we can move him, I'm all for it. I don't really care what it's for because he's not coming back next year. So whatever piece we can get.
I'm all for it. And before we get to the last one, you know, in all seriousness, hopefully everything is cool with him. You know, he's been beefing with Turkey and Turkey Glue got beef with him. And,
that's something that I don't wish on him. Yeah. I don't want him to get back to Turkey.
Craziness,
I'm not a fan of basketball, but as a person, he's standing for something bigger than
facts.
Yeah,
something we can't relate to, man. But Adam Silver was interviewed in London, and he said he's standing with him. NBA standing with him 100%. So
good.
That's cool. So shout out Kanter. All right, last topic, and we're gonna try to get to our last caller as well. Last topic was this trade rumor. Had everybody on my Instagram talking. Had over 200 comments on there. You weighed in on there, or either you or your brother.
I think it was Michael, but yeah, we both feel similar.
All right, so we got about 5 minutes left. This rumor regarding Dennis Smith Jr. being on the block. Knicks fans are looking at it. Trade Frank, right our wrongs from last year's draft. If they could try to put Timmy in there for Wes Matthews' expiring deal, so you clear up the cap space, you get a more talented point guard. Where are you on this topic, Jake?
Listen, in the proposed trade, it's Dennis Smith Jr. and Wes Matthews expiring contract for Frank and Tim Hardaway Jr., which in that case, I say you pull the trigger in a blink of an eye. I don't think it's a real trade proposal.
This is just pure conversation.
Yeah, unless like the Dallas Mavericks are like low-key desperate to get rid of Dennis Smith Jr., which I don't know why they would be. I get his fit alongside Luka isn't ideal, but he's still a good player, and I still think that you could get a ton for him.
Yeah.
But like if you had the opportunity to get rid of Tim Hardaway Jr.'s contract, you take that opportunity. And I played it again. I like Timmy, but that contract is an albatross. It's crazy. Like it's not suited for him.
Yeah.
And also, you know, swapping out Frank for Dennis Smith Jr., I think it would be a trade that would kind of benefit both teams in that sense. Not so much the Wes Matthews, Tim Hardaway Jr. aspect, but the Frank and Dennis Smith Jr. Like Frank would get a fresh start with Dallas, play alongside Luka, which the offensive duties would kind of be relieved from him. Like
that'd be an interesting pairing.
and he's more of a distributor. He's more of a defensive player. He can complement Luka better than Dennis Smith can. And on the Knicks side, I feel like Dennis Smith Jr. would fit well with the Knicks. He would love being in Knicks. He would be in the middle of Manhattan, obviously, in the
which is what I'm scared of. I'm scared of that.
You're scared of that? I'm
scared of that. Because to me, I feel like it's buyer's remorse from Dallas already in the second year. He's a rookie damn near still. And for them to be able to say that he's on the block and that's not a rumor. It seems to be true.
No, I think it's absolutely true.
You know what I mean? You want to tell me that this kid can't gel with Luka Doncic and we're only a half year into this kid's... Something is wrong, man. Something is wrong that they want to bail on this kid that fast. I don't trust it.
Yeah, it's fair. It's definitely fair. Yeah, you're not wrong in that analysis. But I just think that Dennis Smith is a big-time player. I think he still has a lot to give to the NBA and basketball in general.
Yeah.
And I think that in a weird way, like sometimes you see some guys come to New York and underperform. They're not prepared for the media and all that, and they crumble. Dennis Smith always struck me as a guy who's like a big-time guy. When the stakes are the highest, he kind of wants to show out. And I think that's part of the reason why he didn't mesh with the Mavericks so well, because when they got Luka's like the undisputed number one on that team, and that's not going to change.
Yeah.
But Dennis Smith, he could kind of be a baller for us, and I feel like he could become kind of like one of these Knicks legends. You know, he would be so beloved.
I don't know, man. I don't know, man.
I can see it. I like that.
I feel like Phil did us a favor, man. When Phil told him eat the octopus, he was trying to tell him, are you gonna take one for the team? Are you gonna sacrifice? Are you all about self? And Dennis Smith Jr. said no, thank you, and he left. That was a test, man. Phil was on his Professor X shit, man. He was trying to get into his mind.
Listen, Phil the Zen master.
He's a Zen master, man. You know,
he knows what he's doing with the mind games. I love that analysis. I don't like it.
He might have been sleeping at the practices, but Phil's cerebral, man. He's cerebral.
No, even when he's sleeping, he's more awake than 90% of the world.
Yeah,
he's woke.
Like I said on Dennis Smith, I just think it's buyers beware.
It's buyers beware, but at the same time, if you get rid of Tim Hardaway Jr.'s contract, I still think you do that in a second.
Yeah, well, the Timmy contract, I'm not averse to necessarily. Although I would like to see, I think he could be a 6-man once you get more pieces on this team and move him further and further in terms of priority. But I wouldn't be averse to that. You can always,
I think it would be like the pinnacle of comedy in terms of like LeBron James situations, saying that, like, literally going out of his way to say that we should have drafted Dennis Smith Jr. Over Frank Ntilikina, and then the Dallas Mavericks accepting a trade, taking on a horrible contract just to get Dennis Smith Jr. off their team. It would be the classic pinnacle of like what LeBron James' statements are in terms of GM LeBron.
Classic, man. And that's the show. Jake, you came through on your first post game. This is your opportunity to promote your channel. Say your last words. We got 1 minute, man. Go ahead, man. 30 seconds. Go ahead, bro.
All right. At @the_Lennox, THE_LEKN, THE_LEKNICKS. We're coming to you on YouTube. We're just two guys, two brothers, grew up loving the Knicks, diehards, kind of upset with the franchise for the most part recently, but we love the Knicks just like you guys. We keep it real 100% all the time. So follow us. Make sure you like our content, and we'll reciprocate it all the way. Appreciate all you guys.
Appreciate you, Jake. Good job, man. Good job, man. And shout out to everybody for watching. Early matinee tilt. Knicks lose in most Knick-like fashion. 101-100 to the Wizards on a gold 10. Buzzer beating gold 10. But yeah, shout out everybody in the chat. GC, Ace Bez, Reaper Man. Shout out everybody that called in. Jet Life for Life, Shells Heavy, Alex Collins. Appreciate the support. The replay of the show will start up about 9:30. We'll have another show at about 12. We'll go into about 2 a.m., 6 a.m. You guys know the deal, man. Gives you guys a chance to chat live while you watch a replay of the show. And also, the show is in audio form on the KnicksFanTV, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher. We're in podcast form. So for you guys that like to catch it in audio, make sure you subscribe to the channel on those audio platforms. And yeah, man, yo, listen, we had a good show. It was a tough loss. Johnny Morecast, appreciate you. Raw Hebrew Remnant, Peter Blake, SS Television, appreciate you guys. Matt B, appreciate you coming in, Nick of Time show. And yeah, man, listen, tough loss for the dudes to come back to across the pond, but another win in the tank. That's all you could ask for, man.
Holster it.
Yeah, man. So we will just hit that thumbs up button one more time for your boys. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe. And I'll catch up with you guys next game, man. Post game live. CP, Jake, Jay Ellis. Have a good one, people. Peace.